Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for requesting this private session that Vanessa and I are getting ready to do. And this is going to give you a great overview of how EFT works, hopefully get, Vanessa an awesome result today, and also each of you that choose to tap along with us. So my pro tip before anybody ever begins a tapping session is first to make sure you're hydrated, that you've had some water to drink, and that you're properly hydrated, because energy is going to move better that way. So drink up. And then I also recommend after we tap to hydrate throughout the day. And that will also to help just the energy to remain unblocked and for other aha moments to kind of come through to you. So what would you like to work on today?
So I think for me, I have to make a big career decision. I've got to start putting myself first and really lean into something I really want to do. So it will be leaving my full-time job and stepping into a space of being self-employed. But there's a blockage there. Something is stopping me doing that. And I don't know.
How long have you been at this job for?
2 years.
Okay.
So it was a means to an end at the time, but now I think I've just settled into a groove.
Okay.
But I need to make that decision. I need to just do it. And that's something is holding me back.
Where do you feel it? Like when you think I need to just do it, or when you think like if I was going to tell you to press send right now on like an email or to send however you're going to resign or change or whatever it might be, like what's the feeling that you get, or where do you get it?
Yeah. So I feel it in my stomach, sort of around there. There's sort of, sometimes it feels empty and just a little bit unsettled.
Okay.
But I always get it sort of around there. So your lower sort of body area.
Okay. And when you think about yourself, like right after you do it or the day after you do it, what do you think it's going to be like?
I genuinely feel like a weight has been lifted from me, that I've had a sort of fuzzy head, is how I describe it, for a long time.
Okay.
And I genuinely feel that once I've made that decision, I'll be like, right, it's out there, it's happening.
Okay.
That fuzz, terrible description.
Yeah. No, it's great.
And
is there any color to the fuzz?
Like a
texture or anything?
It's just brown and just unpleasant. It's just a brown, not a particularly nice color, really.
Okay. All right. What is there a catalyst that has caused you to come to this decision, or
I think it's just been a slow dripping of just things that haven't felt aligned with me. So just how people operate, how people speak to me, what the business does that I'm in. It's not been one thing. It's just been a series of probably little micro aggressions and micro iniquities and all these sorts of things that have just built up over the 2 years that have just gone, hang on a minute, this is not what I want anymore.
Okay. What do you want? Like, what's the end goal? You're resign, what are you doing? How is it feeling? What's the next step feel like?
Yeah. So I'm pretty clear on that. So there's 3 things that I see myself doing. So I work in HR and organizational development and transformational change in organizations. And that is my love. I love seeing businesses go from struggling, unclear, to where helping them be successful. I love taking businesses through that. So one of the streams I want to get into is back to that. I used to do that previously. I've just got I've gone off the rails essentially. So I want, one of my biggest streams of revenue and activity will be HR consultancy, because I love it. I get a lot of energy from it. The next stream will be coaching. So I do confidence coaching, working with women. So that'll be the other thing I want to do, but that's about 20% of my time. And then the 10% of my time is having proper time to focus on my podcast. Because again, I get a sense of joy out of it. And so those are the 3 things I'm going to focus on. So 70% of my time will be consulting, 20% will be coaching, and 10% will be podcasting.
Is the consultancy that you want to be doing, is that something you're already doing, or a brand new thing that you're getting ready to create?
So I used to do it in the UK. So I had my own consultancy. I moved to Australia and all my connections, and it was just in lockdown, impossible to build a business. So I've done it. So I know I can do it. I'm just doing it in a different country. But I've started to build it up, and I've got my feelers out there, and people know that I do this. It's just I've got to get the actual client now.
Is any of that holding you back from leaving the current job?
Well, the fact I don't have any clients at the moment is a source of frustration, actually. Not anything else. It's frustration that, but I'm good at this. Why can't I get clients? Okay. What is it that I'm doing that people are not seeing, I guess?
Okay. Do you think maybe you're just not visible enough?
Probably, but then that's sort of like I'm working for most of the day.
Sure.
How much can I do?
No, so I wasn't necessarily suggesting that you were trying to not be visible, but just that you're naturally just not visible enough.
Yeah, I mean, I would probably, I'm an extrovert, probably a 7 out of 10. Okay. So I don't mind being in the spotlight, but also can somebody join me in that spotlight? So when you say visible, I don't need to be in the spotlight. I actually like spotlight with other people. I'm a real collaborator. So maybe that visibility is I'm not shining the light just specifically on me.
Okay. All right.
Does that make sense?
A lot to work with here. This is good. So when you think about your stress or negative feelings, whatever they might be, about resigning, about moving on, ending this particular chapter to move to the next one, where do you feel like you are on that scale of 0 to 10, with 10 being like the most stressed out and anxious, and 0 being like, I got this, it's already done?
I would probably say between 6 or 7. So I'm going to commit and say I'm 7, because there is some anxiety in me.
Just a number, Vanessa. It's all right. it's just a starting point. Like, sometimes people get really hung up on that. Like,
this is like an insight into my life, isn't it?
7.5. I don't know. Like, just don't. You got enough going on up here, so you don't need to worry about the number. We're just gonna nail it down at a 7, and then we know how much the shift has happened after we're done. But I only say that because so many people struggle with that, and if anybody who's listening and thinking about maybe a change, because anybody can kind of transpose this to what you're dealing with. If you have a big decision to make, if you have something you're hesitating on, whatever, tap along with us. Even if you don't, just tap along to get the nervous system regulation from the points and the things that we're going to be doing. It's going to help one way or another. But people can be like, oh, I don't know what my number is. And they can get really stuck on that for a while. And if and when you do, I always just say, pick a 5. You'll know if you went up, you'll know if you went down. That's really all that matters. It doesn't really matter exactly where you land, just as long as you know you're making progress. So, because we're always making progress in one way or another. So we're going to start by tapping on the side of our hand. This is going to be just like follow the leader. So I'm going to say something, you're going to say it back. We'll move to the same points, do the same things. I might get fancy and do some other things, but just stick with me. So, because I think there's some psychological reversal happening for you. So we may get into some eye movements and some other things. All right, here we go. Even though I have a lot of anxiety about this next step. You're going to repeat after me.
Okay. Even though I have anxiety about this next step.
And I just need to pull the trigger.
And I just need to pull the trigger.
But for some reason, I'm hesitating. I accept the feeling and love myself anyway. Even though this hasn't felt aligned for a long time. And I know this isn't where I'm meant to grow. Still hanging on a bit. But I love, accept, and forgive myself. Even though this has been coming for a while. And I don't particularly love what I'm doing. Or the business that I'm in. And I know there are much greater things that I'm meant to do. I honor where I am right now. And accept myself anyway. Now we're going to start going through the points. This big career decision.
This big career decision.
It's really weighing on me.
It's really weighing on me.
I feel it in my stomach.
I feel it in my stomach.
Like an emptiness, something missing.
Like an emptiness, something missing.
I just don't quite feel settled around this decision yet.
I just don't feel settled around this decision yet.
But doing this job is so fuzzy feeling.
But doing this job is so fuzzy feeling.
And there's a lot of weight to it.
And there's a lot of weight to it.
It's pretty unpleasant.
It's pretty unpleasant.
And I know I just need to go.
And I know I just need to go.
I feel like I'm kind of going back and forth.
I feel like I'm just going back and forth.
Not completely committed to my decision.
Not completely committed to my decision.
Perhaps there's a little self-doubt.
Perhaps there's a little self-doubt.
Maybe a little frustration.
Maybe a little frustration.
My genius zone.
My genius zone
Is helping organizations go from struggling.
Is helping organizations to go from struggling.
And feeling unclear.
And feeling unclear.
To being successful.
To being successful.
So why am I stuck?
So why am I stuck?
Struggling and feeling unclear.
Struggling and feeling unclear.
When I know how to be successful.
When I know how to be successful.
Maybe my intuition's just gotten a little foggy.
Maybe my intuition has just got a little foggy.
And it's time to clear it.
And it's time to clear it.
Clearing this struggle.
Clearing this struggle.
This fogginess.
This fogginess.
Down to a cellular level.
Down to a cellular level.
And allowing the right decision.
And allowing the right decision.
The decision that's for the highest good of all.
The decision that is for the highest good of all.
To come through.
To come through.
Allowing my confidence to be boosted.
Allowing my confidence to be boosted.
As I get ready to do the thing.
As I get ready to do the thing.
I'm going to have my own consultancy.
I'm going to have my own consultancy.
I am going to help people to be so successful.
I'm going to help people to be so successful.
Because I'm going to get out of my own way.
Because I'm going to get out of my own way.
And I'm going to release any feelings of imposterism.
And I'm going to release any feelings of imposterism.
That have come with this decision-making process.
That have come with this decision-making process.
Because coaches need coaches too.
Because coaches need coaches too.
And sometimes it's hard to see what's right in front of me.
And sometimes it is hard to see what is right in front of me.
Sometimes it's hard to see that I already have the answers.
Sometimes it is hard to see that I already have all the answers.
And that I can coach myself the same way I would coach a person or a business.
And that I can coach myself the same way that I can coach a person or a business.
And get out of this unaligned situation.
And get out of this unaligned situation.
And into the vortex.
And into the vortex.
Of manifesting the career and life I desire.
Of manifesting the career and life that I desire.
I'm going to tap on the side of the thumb. With tolerance.
With tolerance.
Compassion.
Compassion.
Love.
Love.
And acceptance.
And acceptance.
I now forgive, back of the hand between like the ring finger and the pinky.
I now forgive.
And I call my power back into my body.
And I call my power back into my body.
I'm aligned with the decision that I'm making.
I'm aligned with the decision that I'm making.
And I'm ready to take the next step.
And I'm ready to take the next step.
Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. And I want you to just look straight ahead as you continue to tap the back of your hand. And I want you to look hard down to the right, keeping your head straight, and then back up to center. Now hard down to the left, and then back up to center. Then I want you to roll your eyes like you're looking at the 12 hand on a clock and roll them clockwise in a circle, hitting every number on the clock as you go around. And now I want you to roll them counterclockwise in a circle, just concentrating in as you do it on any kind of stress you might still have left about that decision, any indecision, any frustration. Now we're just going to hum real quick. We'll just do happy birthday because everybody knows it. Now we're going to count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Hum again for just a few more seconds. We're getting the left and the right side of the brain talking to each other and getting in sync. All right, now you can just take another nice deep breath through the nose. Out through the mouth. You may feel like stretching, yawning, moving, whatever feels good. And I'm going to kind of come back to yourself here. And before we talk about it, where do you feel like you are on that scale of 0 to 10 when you think about the stress around making the decision or making the decision in general?
I've definitely shifted. I think probably what I need to do, Theresa, is probably, I'm a processor. It will take a while, I think. Mm-hmm. So I'm thinking, I definitely feel
shift.
More...
If you tell me now, we talk about it for 2 or 3 minutes, you may have a different number. That's okay too. That's totally normal.
Or so I'm probably thinking I'm feeling less stressed for sure. I'm feeling like a 5 because of the things you said, or I was saying, I am perfectly capable of doing this. I'm perfectly capable of doing this. And so just having that going through my system, it's like, yeah, I can. I've got this. I am really good at this. So I think I have definitely shifted.
Good.
Yeah.
What else came up for you? Are there any like feelings or shifts or aha moments for you?
Well, I don't know whether this is significant or not, but when I was rolling my eyes, for some reason, I just couldn't get like 1 to 2 o'clock, if you imagine that. And I was like, why am I skipping that bit? Like my brain was just going only 3/4 of the way around.
Yeah. And I was doing it too. So I wasn't watching you as much as I would have been if we were doing other kind of work together. But that can be significant because, being able to move them fully in that circle really makes everything be unblocked. And sometimes we get stuck. We have to kind of go back to that, keep tapping. And there could be some kind of a subconscious block there. We do those particular things, which are a lot like what people experience when they do EMDR, which is pretty traumatizing in my opinion, but not traumatizing when we do it this way, but it really does help to get the energy flowing in the right direction, because when we're in psychological reversal, we can kind of say we want something, but then do the opposite or whatever. And so we get things flowing in the right direction and the left and the right side of the brain kind of on the same page. And that's part of that. But when you're not getting the full eye roll, sometimes that can indicate there's still something there that we need to find and get out. So, and that would be part of what that 5 is, part of what's left.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. And I thank everybody who, tapped at home with us and listening to the recording. I know I love hearing from people when they do these, kind of the things that come up or the ways that they tweaked it or the personal thing that they were working through as they did this with us. So feel free to, drop me another email and let me know how it went. Theresa at theresalearlevine.com. I would imagine Vanessa enjoys hearing from people too. What's your email address?
So I'm contact@vanessa-murphy.com.
Perfect. So there's ways to reach us and share your wins or your challenges or ask questions. I mean, I know for me, every time I tap, something else comes up that I'm like, ooh, what about this? Or that's my ADHD brain as much as anything else. I'm just naturally curious about anything and everything. But I do thank you guys for doing this with us. I thank you, Vanessa, for being vulnerable and sharing about this big decision. And I know that you have everything within you to make it and to make it amazing. And I really wish you the best with it. And I hope that, however you're going to be making the change and announcing it, that maybe a method like this can help you to be able to make that final push and get through with less stress, because you deserve to feel good about this big decision that you're making.
Thank you. And actually just feeling now, I genuinely do feel like something shifted. Like there's just something, I just think it's like a feeling. I don't even know how to describe it. It's like a warmth. It's like, and it's right where I said, it's sort of in my stomach area. It's just a feeling of fullness, I suppose.
Good.
Yeah. So there we go. Something has moved.
I often feel like it's almost in some ways like if you imagine your higher self almost like as something that kind of like lingers over top of you, and then you do this, it's almost like your higher self kind of like drops down over you, like this kind of like loving energy of like support. That's kind of what it feels like to me sometimes, or sometimes it feels almost like I've risen up. And then all of a sudden it's like I can get the overview of everything. And I'm like, oh, that's what's going on. That makes sense now, because I am clear. I've got clarity and vision and a full understanding of the big picture. Whereas before I tap, a lot of times it feels like I'm just in the chaos of the situation and just kind of being pushed around by it and not having that control, and being able to take control of the one and only thing we can control, which is ourselves, and get that clarity makes a huge difference. So I'm so glad that you felt that. That's awesome. And thank you.
Thank you. And thank you very much for your time and for doing this. It's amazing. And thank you. Actually, my audience will be in touch with you as well.
Absolutely. Thank you, Vanessa.
Thank you, Theresa.